this video, we're going to go ahead and make a React Native app that displays the temperature, humidity, and pressure. And this data is coming from Firebase, which is being updated by an ESP32. So in this video, we're going to go over a little bit of C++ as well as JavaScript. If this is your first time using JavaScript, that's okay. I'll go over as much as I can, although I highly recommend getting some React experience beforehand. That way this will make a little bit more sense. I'll do the best I can explaining. One of the resources I highly recommend is having ChatGPT open, so any questions or anything that doesn't quite work, you can run it through here and hopefully you can get a solution there. First thing you're going to need, you will need Node.js downloaded, so go ahead and download this as well as Git. I can leave these links below. So bare React Native projects can be a little difficult to use, so we're going to go ahead and use Expo, which builds on top of React Native, and it'll make it much easier to get up and going. All right, so for this build, again, what we're going to do is we'll build a simple React Native app interface. Then we'll get this connected to Firebase, and we'll put some dummy data in Firebase, and then we'll go and write the firmware we need for an ESP32. We'll do the hardware side of the ESP32, and then we'll connect it all together. It actually is fairly easy. It's not too hard. Especially once you get some of the concepts down, then you'll be able to see how you can add tons of different modules to the ESP32 and display them in your app. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to need to do is let's open up VS Code here, and let's create a new folder, and we will call this folder, I'm just going to call it Skycast. I'm going to go ahead and drag that in. Now, in here, we're going to open terminal. And we need to install Expo. So in here, we're going to write npm install, and we'll do Expo CLI. Now, if you're running on a Mac, you will need to write sudo, so administration access. You'll have to put sudo in front of that, and then it'll ask for your password. So go ahead and hit that. I'm not going to do that because I've already done it. So while that's installing, go to the expo.dev website. This will be in the description, and click sign up. So you're going to need an account for this, and this is free. And they do have a pricing model. I do a lot of builds, and I actually haven't had to hit this yet. So go ahead and sign up for that. Once your Expo is done, you can type in Expo login and go ahead and log into your account. And once you log in, so I'm going to do Expo, who am I? Okay. So I'm logged into this. Once you log into that, then we can start getting this set up. So here I'm going to do npx create expo app. And here you can put a name here, but I'm just going to put period. So it's going to actually just put it into this folder. And so this will take a second to download. All right, now that this is downloaded, you can go to your phone and install the Expo Go app. And go ahead and log in there because that's where we're going to show this. So now I'm going to run npx expo start. So this is actually going to start our server here, and I'm going to hit OK. All right, I'm going to click I. So I is actually going to open up my iOS simulator. Now, if this is your first time doing this, you'll actually need Xcode installed. Xcode is huge. It took like a few hours, and I have decent internet to download on my computer. That's one of those let it run it all night type of things. Or you'll need Xcodes for the simulator, but you can actually scan this QR code, and this will open the Expo Go app on your phone, and you'll be able to see your updates live as you make the changes. All right, so here we are. So if you go to your app.js, you're going to see this here. If I type in cool and I hit save, you're going to see an update there. Now you should be able to see this on your phone. If you have any issues on your phone, you can actually hold down with 3 fingers. And it will, it's similar to like this shake. You can actually reload it. Sometimes there's a connection break between the two. And so make sure that if you have any issues, you can click reload and you'll be able to see the connection there. Also, just as a warning, occasionally you'll have issues where everything you think it should be working. You can actually close your server by hitting Control-C. It'll kill your server. And then you'll want to go ahead and start it up again, and that should be able to fix the issues a lot of times. All right, so here's our Figma file. What I typically like to do is to break down how I'm going to structure this before I go crazy and start building stuff. So I like to think of it like I'm going to make a view. I'll have the background as one. I'll have an image background covering the whole back. Then I'll have another view here. I'll have another view here for this bottom half. I'll create another view inside of that as a spacer for then this view, and then we'll build this down here, and then we'll build some stuff in there. And then in here, we'll center this and we'll kind of move it over there. So I know that's probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but as we get building it, hopefully it does start making sense. So let's come back over here and let's get started. All right, so one of the first things we could do here is let's add a screens folder. We could just build it right here in our app.js, but my only thing is if we want to add some functionality with fonts and other things like that, I'd rather keep this a little clean. So in here, we're going to call this, we'll call it weather.js. And there's a cool plugin or an extension called snippets. So download this ES7 snippets. And what this is going to allow us to do is if we type in RNFES right here, this will create a snippet, which is going to be really helpful. And we just less to code. So right here, we're going to have, this is going to be our weather. This will be the home page, but I'm going to make basically a screen for this home. So in our app.js, let's go ahead and import our weather from our screens/weather. We're going to go ahead and delete this text, and we will add our weather. Okay, so now we can see weather right here. All right, cool. And I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of this right there. Good, we want it up in there. All right, so if I hold Command and click on weather, I can play in here and again here. That's gonna update up in here. So that's exactly what we wanted to do there. All right, so one of the first things we're going to do, I'm gonna go ahead and let's go ahead and import our photos. So in the assets, these will come with your project when you first download. I'll have it in the link that's in the description. I'll have a whole bunch of assets that we can use. Okay, so here I have an assets folder with a whole bunch of images, and we can pick through a few of these if we'd like to. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I want to import an image background. So again, we have to import all of these, and what we'll do is we'll have that. I'm going to delete this. We'll add the image background here. We'll close it. But then here, let's go ahead and import one of our images. So if I go to assets, I have some different backgrounds here. Let's do, this one's pretty cool. So background 1. So go ahead and pick one you want, but then what we'll do is we're going to import that. So we'll import background from assets.background 1.png. All right. So this component, this image component, needs to have a source. So we're going to do source equals background, and then let's also give it a style equals, and I'm going to actually do styles. I'm not going to do inline. This is a container, so we'll actually do container. So let me save that. So then here is where we can stylize that. So we're going to do container. By the way, I do have let's see, what's this, Copilot on. I love Copilot. Use it if you'd like. I think it's amazing. Resize mode. We're going to do cover, and then we will do justify content center, and that will be it for that. Okay, so now we have our image background looking pretty cool. And again, if I wanted to change to, let's just say, the normal background, I can do that. I can change it to number 4, but for right now, we'll just keep it on number 1. All right, so now inside of here, we're going to have a view that is our temperature wrapper. So I'm going to call this view. We'll call it our style equals styles dot temp wrapper. and then we're going to close that. And then inside of here, we'll have a text, and this text will be our temperature. I'm just going to do, let's call it 75 degrees right now. So if I save this, yep, we can't see anything yet. Let's go ahead and style this. Well, we can go ahead and do this. Let's do style equals styles dot, I'll just call it text. How about that? So let's do some styling here. We'll say our text wrapper, and we're going to do flex, flex 1. And then we will do justify content, and we will center that. And then we will do our text. This is going to be a big font size, so let's do font size is, let's do like 150. We'll take a look at that. And then we'll do font weight. So we could do bold, we could do light, but I'm actually going to do a number, and I'll do like 100. That's really, really light. Text align, well, I'll probably change that. And then color, we will do white. Let's take a look at this. Okay, there we go. So we have 75 right there. Yeah, well, let's just keep that for right now, but eventually we'll have this up and we'll have it to the left a little bit, but I'll worry about that in a second. Okay. So now, if you remember in our Figma, so this is basically one container up here. We're going to have a second container down here. So let's go ahead and like build that one out. So I'm going to create another view. We'll do style equals, I'm just going to call it data. This will be our data view. Oops. There we go. And inside of here, I'm going to, there's different ways to do this, but I'm actually going to create, so again, we just created a invisible box, imagine right here. I'm going to create inside of this invisible box, there'll be two boxes, one here and then one down in here. So I'm going to basically create a spacer for right now. It won't have anything in it, but I'll just call it style equals styles dot spacer. We'll do that. And then right here, we're going to create another view. And we'll call it, we'll do style equals style, styles dot, and we will do data wrapper. Yeah. So then in here, we will have our humidity. So right here, now I'm going to have the humidity side, and then we will have a pressure side. So let's do a view that we can call humid. Style equals, equals styles dot humid. And then we can have a text in here. We'll do our text, and this one will be, let's just call it 23% humidity. So if I save that, you won't be able to see it because it's too dark. But then we'll do another text, and this will be just the, so again, we're writing humidity right there. Okay. So then I can actually copy this. We're going to go ahead and copy that. We'll paste it here. And then this one, we won't call it humid. We can call it pressure. We don't really need to change these, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyways. So then here, we'll do styles equal, we'll call this, what should we call this? Data text. And then here we'll call styles equals styles dot, I'll call this title. Title's humidity. I'm not really great at fancy style names. So then same thing here, styles dot data text, and then here styles dot title. Okay, perfect. All right, so then let's go ahead and style. This is actually looking pretty good. Oh, actually right here we'll do pressure, and we'll do 85. Or actually no, let's go like 22, sure. Okay. let's jump into this. So then we had our text. Let's do our, I think we can do data now. Yep, let's do our data. Oh, there we go. We'll do data and we'll do flex 1. We'll do justify content. We'll do that to center. We're going to do align items as center, and then we'll do width. Let's do our width at 100. So if I actually do this, occasionally I like to do background color equals like green, let's say. So now I can kind of see, okay, this is really where I'm working. So I'm going to actually just keep this up for just a minute. So now that we have our data, now we have a spacer here. We can go ahead and we can, I'm not going to touch that one for a second. I'll come back to that one. Let's do data wrapper. How about that? So data wrapper, we're going to do flex. Yep, we want it to be in a row. So right here we have a column, and this will, if you remember right, so we have, let me actually do background color so you can kind of see what this is looking like. Background color is red. Oops. So right here, if we didn't put row here, we're going to have a column. So I want those spread out here. Let's do the height at like 20%. Okay, that looks good. Let's justify content to be, let's do center. Okay, and then we'll also align our items. Okay, and then let's see here. Let's do our width. We don't want to do 100% because that'll stretch across there. And if you remember in our design, let's try like 80%. Let's take a look at 80%. All right, great. Let's do a border radius. So let's round off some corners here. Let's see what 20 looks like. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Let's do a border width 1. Okay, and we'll do border color white. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and take off this green. Cool, and we will get rid of this red. Actually, what we'll do, instead of this red, let's do, yeah, that looks good. Okay, so 5, that's a little bright for me. We could do 2. Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay, so we'll try this for right now. But if you actually remember right here, we can do the spacer now. If I do background color, if I bring this back to like a blue, the spacer is not really taking up any space right now. So I'm going to go ahead and do the spacer one, and we'll give it like a height of, let's see what 20% looks like. I'm going to actually, instead of 20%, I'm going to do 30%, push it a little bit lower. Okay, so now where are we at here? We got our spacer, we just did our data wrapper. Let's do humid. Let's get this one. So humid, we'll do flex 1. So fill up its space. Let's do justify content center. Yep. Align items. Yep. I think that's all we need to do there. Okay. We'll do the same thing for the pressure. Okay. And then let's do our texts. Data text. Font size 30. That might be a little big. I'm actually going to go 20. Font weight 100. Well, let me close this and show you. Okay. We could actually do, that's a little skinny. 100 is going to be a little skinnier. I'm going to do 200. I don't know that I want to have a 100 on there. We'll do our colors white. That's great. We'll text align center. And then let's, maybe we can change our font family. We'll go font family. There we go. That looks pretty good. So then we just have our title next. Title, font size 20. Ooh, that's going to be a little big. No, I don't want that. Let's try 12. Font weight. I'm actually going to do font weight to be bold. Okay. We'll also do is colors white. That's great. That's great. Text align is center. And then font family. Okay, that's looking really good. So let's go ahead and take off our blue background right here. See what that looks like. Ooh, nice. Yeah, it's looking really good. You could just keep it just like this. I'm gonna move the temperature over a little bit. So what I'll do here is I'll go to our text here. I'm going to add instead of text align center, I'm actually going to do left. So that'll throw it way over. And then we can do some padding left. Let's see what 20 looks like. I'm going to try 30. 35. Okay. So we could do something like that. Actually, maybe I even do right. And then we could do just with this, the way this image is, something somewhere in there. Okay, cool. So right now we've got this, basically this is designed good enough for what we want. Let's get this connected to Firebase now, and then we can change some of the Firebase data, and then we can start working on the hardware and the firmware side of it. So one of the first things we need to do is we're going to create a new file in our root folder. We'll just call this firebase.js. Okay, so now in our terminal, we can just open up a new terminal. We need to npm install Firebase. So go ahead and do that so we can get this part done. Also, just as a reminder, always use docs. If you don't really understand something, documentation is important. Firebase has a great documentation. Okay, so let's go over to the Firebase website, and we're going to start a new project. So we'll go to our console, so sign up, and then here we'll hit add project, and we will call this Skycast. We'll turn off Google Analytics for right now. You can easily turn that on later, but there is no need right now. Okay, so now that's finished. So here we are going to create a new app. Now, even though we're working with mobile, React Native is still more of a web JavaScript. It uses JavaScript, which is meant for like more of web. And so this would be like Swift, Android would be like Kotlin. You have Flutter over here. We're gonna go ahead and click on the web, and we will add the nickname. Skycast. Okay, we don't need Firebase hosting, so let's go ahead and click register app, and we've already installed Firebase, so we don't need to worry about that. The only thing we want to do right now, let's copy this right here, and then we can hit continue to console. Let's copy this and paste it right here in your Firebase JS. So these are keys specific to your project. So at the top, we're going to also import initialize app from Firebase app. The other thing we're going to do is we're also going to import, we're going to do get database ref and on value from Firebase database. And then we'll also just import Firebase /database. There we go. Okay. So now that we have these, we're going to come down here. We need to initialize it. So we'll initialize Firebase by doing const app equals initialize app. And we're going to pass in our Firebase config. And then also we'll do const db equals get database. We do not need this for right now. Okay. So then what we're going to do is we got to export these. So we're going to say export db ref and on value. All right. So this is basically set up for right now. Let's go back to Firebase, and in Firebase, we're going to click on real-time Firebase. Or sorry, real-time database, and we're going to go ahead and create one right now. Go ahead and pick whatever's closest to you. I'm going to do US. It says start in locked mode. This is really important for in the future. We can go over this later. Right now, we're going to start in test mode, and We're going to click enable there. Okay. Here we are. So what's important here is in our ESP32 firmware, we're going to need this URL. But for right now, we want to be able to connect to this database and pull the data that's live. So let's just go ahead and add right here. We're going to add a key. We're just going to call this temp. And the value, let's call it 77. So this will be like 77 degrees. So that'll be our temperature. Let's add one called pressure. The value we can call it, or let's say 34. I don't really know much about pressure, but let's just put that in there. And then we'll do one called humid. And let's do 23. Okay. So then back over here, we can now start working with this. So go back to your weather.js and we're going to import. We'll import our database, so DB, our ref, and our on value from Firebase. So this is pulling it from this Firebase folder right now. Oh, I have an error. Let's see. Get database does not exist. Okay, let me go back here. Let's take a look at this real quick. Oh, I spelled it wrong up here. There we go. Okay. Okay, so let's get rid of React. That's no longer required with the newer updates. We're going to import a use effects and a use state. Use effect is going to, the reason why we're using this is going to watch our Firebase server and watch for any changes. And anytime there's something changed, it will update. Use state just basically, it's a hook that adds state to a functional component. So you'll see a little bit more of how this one works. So here we need to have a const. We'll call it temp for temperature, and we'll do set temp. So right now it's going to be 0. So let's actually just take this, and where's our temperature? We'll add it right here. So right here is 0. So if I change this to 60, you're going to see it update there, 60. So that'll be our temperature. And then we'll do const, I'll do humidity equals humidity. Yep, so right here. We'll put in humidity. So now it's 0, but if we did 30, it'll be 30 there. And then we'll do another one for pressure. Const pressure. Look how handy Copilot is. So then, there we go. So now that's updating that. So what we want to do next is have our use state, pull it from Firebase and update it here. So let's go ahead, or sorry, our use effect, my bad. So here we will do const, we'll call it temp ref. Actually, I'll just call it data. So this is saying our data, I'll do equals ref data db. So for our database. Okay. So now we want to say on value. So it says we're going to go to our data is our database. So that's saying, hey, come to here. And what do you want to do once you're here? We're going to take a snapshot and we're going to say, we're going to set the temp to equal snapshot.value.temp. So and we'll do the same thing with humidity and then pressure, and then we are good. So right here, whatever you put inside of here, it's going to watch. This use effect is going to watch this, and anytime this updates, it will update here. So I'm actually going to put our DB, so our database, in here. So now, if I go to Firebase, we should see temperature, pressure, and humidity. And here we do not have our humidity because we called it humid. There we go. So we have 77, 23, and 34. If I come over here and I change it from 77 to 85 and I hit enter, that'll automatically update there. Same with pressure. Let's just try 12. Oops. If I do that and hit enter, you are going to see that change. So yeah, now that this is connected, I will show you how to be able to push this to your phone. The old command was Expo publish, but now it's EAS update, I believe. Let's try that. Okay, yep, it's not configured. Would you like to automatically create a project? We'll say yes. And now it's creating this. There we go. A couple other little things. If you go to your app.json, here you can change your icon. I've got a few icons in the assets folder. So I could do icon 2. And then also I have a splash. So this is the splash screen. I could do splash. Oh, it is just splash. Okay. There we go. So here it says no branches found. Let's just do master. That's fine. Okay. So now this should allow us to run it off our phone without being connected to your computer. Okay. So now we have a link here. I can go ahead and open this up, and I can click preview. I can scan this, and I should be able to have this on my phone. So go ahead and try that out. All right, there you go. So here is our app, and it's looking really, really good. And again, we can quickly change any of these values and have them updated really quickly. All right, so now let's work on the hardware and the firmware for the ESP32. So really quickly, I want to go over a few things. This is an ESP32 Room 32 module. You can grab these on Amazon. They're pretty cheap. I have a link in the description. If you want to get the exact one I have, there's tons of different variations of them. The big important thing about any ESP32 is understanding the spec sheet or the pinout. So this is what that looks like. This is for my specific board. So we'll get to this in just a moment, but just want to say that you do need to have your pinout ready. So I have a couple of different temperature, humidity, and pressure modules here. I just want to quickly go over. Now, the one I'm going to be using for this is the BME 280. Does temperature, pressure, and humidity. Again, these are fairly cheap, and you can get them on Amazon or AliExpress. This one's a very popular. It's DHT11. It's a very, very cheap module. It's fairly accurate, but they have another model called the DHT11, or sorry, 22. It's a little better than this one. This is a BMP 180. This is a BMP 390. This is more of a precision module. This is for a rocket controller build that I've been working on. If you want to see a tutorial or a video on that, just let me know. And then these are some boards I'm working on as well, and these have a BMP 280, which is only temperature and pressure. And so I'll actually have a new board for these coming out soon that'll also have the humidity. And maybe I could do a tutorial on how to build a board similar to this. So for right now, let's just go over and let's get this connected. So it's pretty simple. We only have 4 things we need to worry about plugging into. The one module, when I bought this on Amazon, it didn't come soldered, so you may need to solder it. So first thing, let's get our 3.3 connected. So if you look at our pinout, we can see the 3.3, and let's put that into VIN. Next, we'll do our ground. We'll put that in there, and then we will do our SCL. If we look at our pinout, it's pin 36. Goes right there. And then our last one is SDA. 6 right there. Okay. So that is the board connected. So now let's jump over and we can start working on the firmware. Okay, let's do some firmware now. So this is the Arduino IDE. You can download it from their website. One of the first things we're going to do, if you haven't already, is we're going to go to the settings, and we're going to add this JSON file, which will show a bunch of the ESP32 devices. So we'll paste that there. From there, we can go up to Tools, and then we'll select Board, ESP32, and I am using an ESP32 dev module. And then right here with the port, we'll go ahead, and you'll have a different port than me most likely, but go ahead and select the port with your device plugged in. So right here we have the setup and the loop. The setup will only run once on the startup, and then the loop will run after that to send the data to Firebase. So first thing what we're going to do is we're going to need to import some libraries. If you go over here, we can search. The first one we need is the Firebase ESP32 library, and it will be right here, Firebase ESP32 client by Mobits, however you say that. So download that one. The next one will be the Adafruit, and it will be the Unified Sensor library right here. And this is by Adafruit. And then the last one will be the Adafruit BME280 library. So once you get those downloaded, we're going to import those. And we also need to import our Wi-Fi. So it'll look something like this. Include Wi-Fi, include Firebase ESP32. We'll use our sensor library and our BMP280. So the next thing we need to do is we need to define our Firebase host. And we'll get this in just a minute, so you can just keep that empty. And then we also need to do the Firebase auth. So we can throw that in there. Next we'll define our Wi-Fi SSD as well as our Wi-Fi password. And we'll keep those. Actually, you can fill this out right now. I'm going to fill mine out in a minute. So go ahead and put your SSID here and your password here. Remember that with the ESP32s, if you have the module I have, it only supports 2.4 gigahertz. It does not do 5 yet. There is a few boards that do 5. It's fairly new, so I don't expect that. You might not be running that. So I would probably recommend just doing 2.4. So next we will call these. So this is the BME. We have our Wi-Fi client and our Firebase data. And then we can move on to our Firebase or our setup here. So first thing we're going to do in our setup is we are going to serial.begin. This is similar to like console.log if you want to think of it that way. And then right here, this is the communication bytes between the computer and the device. And I'll show you, we'll be able to look at our serial monitor once we get this uploaded. Next, we're going to write a function called connect Wi-Fi. We will do that in just a minute. Let's just finish our setup. Then we will have a Firebase begin where we will pass in our Firebase host as well as our auth API key. We'll do that in a minute. And then what we also want to do is we want to say for our BME, we're running this on our address 76. So we're saying if it's not there, if we don't see it running, then we want to write to our serial that it can't find it and check the wiring. Okay, so this is looking good. Let's go ahead and do our connect to Wi-Fi function. So we'll do void connect to Wi-Fi. And then inside of this, we want to, I'm just going to paste some of this code in here and then we can talk about it. So we're beginning our Wi-Fi, we're passing in our SSID and our password. And then we're going to attempt to connect to Wi-Fi. If it does connect, this is so while it's trying to connect, we're going to see a bunch of little periods. You'll see that. And once it's connected, we're going to see connect to Wi-Fi. If not, then we're just going to rerun this period right here. All right, so now we should be able to connect to Wi-Fi. So next, this is our loop. Inside of the loop, we want to declare some variables. We want to have a float, and this is going to be our temperature. So it's calling the BME, and it's going to read the temperature, and we're going to set it to temperature. We're also going to do the humidity. So let's go ahead and drop this one in here, and then as well as our pressure. So let's drop that one in here. So with the pressure, we also have, we're going to divide it by 100. And this will give us our HPA, which stands for hectopascal, which is used to measure atmospheric pressure. So next, we're going to just run a condition just to make sure that we have our temperature and humidity. And if we do not, we're going to say it's failed. Here we're going to say, if Firebase is ready, then what do we want to do? We want to set the Firebase. So this is the Firebase data, and we're going to do /temperature. So if you remember over here, we have temp right there. So this will be /temp/pressure and /humid. And what are we going to send? We're going to send the temperature. So we'll go ahead and copy this and we will paste it there. And then we'll do another one here. So this one will do humid. And we're going to pass in the humidity. Here we will pass in the pressure. And I believe we called that one pressure as well. Okay, so we're going to say if it's ready, we're going to send all these in. Else, if we have any issues, we will serial.print. And here we will say Firebase is not ready. Okay. All right, so that's looking really good. And then after all of this runs, let's have a delay so we don't run it all to our server super quick. We'll give it a 5-second delay. So every 5 seconds, it'll run through this loop. Let's also add some serial prints in here so we can see what's going on from our terminal. So I'm going to actually add this under here. Here's a handful. We're going to print the temperature and then we're going to show the value. Then we'll do humidity. Then we'll do pressure. Let's go ahead and save that. I saved mine right here and the Arduino right there. So now that's saved, let's get our keys in. So right here, this host is going to be this URL right here. So let's copy that and we will paste that in there. And then for our Firebase auth, we'll pull our API key from our Firebase.js folder in our React Native app. We'll put that there. Go ahead and put your Wi-Fi here. Remember, it's got to be 2.4 gigahertz. We will go ahead and make sure you've selected your board here and upload. If you have any errors, you should see it highlighted. Make sure you have your semicolons. That can be an issue. All right, so that's good. Let's check our serial here. We're connecting to Wi-Fi and we're connected. It's showing our temperature, our humidity, and our pressure. Let's go look at our Firebase. Oh, look, that is updating. Perfect. So if I were to put 0 here, great, that updates. Awesome. So now we are connected. Let's go ahead and open up our app again as well. Perfect. Cool. We have our data coming through. Let's change. We're going to fix this. So let's only just show 25 instead of showing after the decimals here. So on our, let's see, temp, before our snapshot value, let's do a math.round. And then we will add this here. So now we're only going to see this, and we're going to go ahead and add this same thing to these other two. Make sure you put the closing parentheses there. All right, good. So that looks really good. The next thing we'll do is let's convert this for me Fahrenheit, and I'm actually going to do that right within here. So what I'll do here is math.round, and I'll have the temperature, and I'm going to do times by 9 divided by 5 plus 32. And that is how you convert that. So we could write it up here, but this seems fine for right now. All right, there we go. There is our app. It looks really cool. We were able to build this in React Native. We got an ESP32, connected a module to it, temperature, humidity, and pressure, connected them both to Firebase, and yeah. Please share this video and like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below if there's other things you want to work on. One of the videos I was thinking is we could build a custom PCB with the ESP32 that works with our app. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.